And welcome back to Sports the NEMO Way, the defensive tackle episode. So as you can probably imagine, we are talking about the 5 greatest defensive tackles of all time, at least in Sports the NEMO Way opinion. And all 5 of us are here tonight. I think that's the first time in a few episodes we've got all 5 of us here. So awesome. Welcome back, Wade.
Oh, thank you.
And I don't think I have any other things to go over, so I guess we can get started. Drew, who is your number 5 defensive tackle?
Warren Sapp.
He's my number 4.
Okay. Make my list.
He's my number 5.
Wade?
I don't have Warren Sapp.
Okay.
I had 3 lists. That's more than I thought he would make. So
Warren Sapp, 7-time Pro Bowler, 6-time All-Pro. He's got a Super Bowl, all 90s, all 2000s. He's got Defensive Player of the Year. He's got 96.5 sacks. He has 578 total tackles. He has 91 tackles for loss. He was one of the main forces on those Tampa Bay Buccaneers defenses. He led like that front line on the defensive line and stuff. I mean, those defenses are great, and he was one of the great players on those defenses. So
he was the loudest player on the defense.
that too, yes. So he had enormous hands. I mean, I remember when Dad and I went to the Hall of Fame, they had like mold of like some of the biggest people with hands, and his hands were like some of the biggest ones. Like at the Hall of Fame, they're like a bust, like how big his hands were and stuff. It was kind of cool to see, like how big his hand was. They were big. So
I do believe they announced a couple weeks ago that he's now going to be the defensive line coach for Dion's Colorado team.
No shit.
Yeah.
Huh.
They're going to find a famous linebacker, the linebackers, because I'm sure Dion talks with the corners, DBs. And if Warren Sapp's doing the defensive lineman,
probably have to get someone.
probably not just some average Joe linebacker coach out there.
Yeah. Something cool about Warren Sapp, though, when he got to the University of Miami, the starting defensive tackle that he replaced was The Rock.
Yeah.
Warren Sapp is the person that took The Rock's job in college.
If you smell
What Warren's cooking.
yeah.
I don't know. There was and when I was growing up, Warren Sapp was like the only defensive tackle in the league that ever had sack numbers.
Yeah.
You know, like defensive tackles were just these huge fat guys that clogged up the middle.
Like Casey Hampton and Vince Wilfork.
Yeah, and like Sam Adams and Tony Saragusa and like I can't remember Corey Simons and like all these just like 320, 330, 350 guys that were just monstrosities, and they just soaked up double teams and didn't let you run up the middle. And Warren Sapp did do some of that, but also, would put up a double-digit sack season. And at that time, maybe it's hard for people to think about it, but at that time, he was really the only guy doing it from that position. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, he is one of the all-time leaders in sacks from the defensive tackle position. I mean, he's there's a handful of them that have more than him, but it's not a lot.
No.
I think he's like number 5 on the list.
Yeah. So he's up there.
I think when he retired, he was 1 or 2, wasn't he?
I don't know. I'm just looking at the ones I've got.
Well, it depends on the official list, and then you have the actual list. Like Alan Page isn't official,
Right. Yeah.
but
he's number 1.
yes, actually,
Both old Cowboys probably are.
Lilly and White.
Yeah,
I don't think White has as many, does he?
White has like 111.
Yeah.
Does he have that many?
He's got more than Lilly.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. I just mixed him up. I thought.
Yeah.
and I think Lilly's got like 90 some.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what's Warren got for his career?
96.
96.
Yeah,
And Lily's got 95.
yeah,
So they're right there together.
but yeah.
All right. Well, does anybody else have anything to add on old Warren Sapp before we move on? All right. Wade, who is your number 5?
My number 5 is Mean Joe Green.
Yeah. He's my number 1.
He's my number 3.
He's my number 2.
Didn't make my list.
Well, I mean, Mean Joe Green's probably the most iconic person on the list. I think everyone knows who Mean Joe Green is. I mean, he was this, one of the, if not the biggest star of the most dominant team of the 90s. Or not the 90s,
70s.
sorry. 70s. I messed that up, sorry. Won 4 Super Bowls. I think he has a couple of Defensive Player of the Year awards.
He has 2 of them.
He was, him and Jack Lambert were the heart of those all-time great defenses, and he was one of the all-time great players of that generation of football. The reason I dropped him to 5 is just because everybody we're going to talk about is dominant against the run and pass, but a lot of the guys were a lot better than Joe Green in rushing the passer.
Mm-hmm.
But while he was, he was phenomenal against the run, and he was still really good against the pass, obviously. I just think sometimes when guys are so popular, people automatically put them at like 1 or 2. I think he deserves, I put him at number 5, but I think he's an all-time great. I just think there's other guys that were a little more dangerous than him in the pass game.
Yeah, I mean, he also won Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
And he's on the All-70s team. He's obviously in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, I know. He won 2 Defensive Player of the Years playing defensive tackle. That's really what stood out to me.
Oh yeah, he was amazing. And I think another thing that you kind of got to think about is, I mean, I don't know. I feel like he was on such an all-time great team with like literally almost like 15 other Hall of Famers. Like, what does he look like away from the Steelers? Like, I'm not saying he would suck or anything. I'm literally just asking. I think it's just a curious question. Like, what would Mean Joe Green be if he didn't play with literally like 13 or 14 other Hall of Famers at the same time? Would he have the same impact if he was on an average team like some of these other guys we talked about? Or we're going to talk about?
I don't know the answer to your question or the question I'm about to ask, but does this go back to like the 60s Celtics teams? Do they really have a bunch of Hall of Famers, or do they just win 4 Super Bowls?
I think, it's kind of the same thing with the Celtics. The Celtics really did have like 7 or 8. They maybe just like the last 3 or 4 didn't count. Like I'm sure 9, 10, 11 of the Steelers guys probably deserve to be in. There's probably a few that don't, maybe.
I mean, we literally make fun of Lynn Swann, and
Right.
and he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, I don't know. I obviously wasn't there watching those games, but like when you win a bunch of anything, whether it's Super Bowls or championships or whatever sport we're talking about, they just put most of your team in.
I mean,
and don't get me wrong, I do think Mean Joe Green's a great. I think Jack Lambert's great. I think Mel Blount's great.
Jack Ham.
Jack Ham, yeah.
Stallworth.
Yeah, Stallworth was great.
They had an all-time great safety.
Webster.
Webster.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we just named like 8. I mean, that's my point.
They were good.
I mean, it's just, yeah.
Oh.
But yeah.
All right. Well, I don't think I have anything else to add on old Mean Joe. Uncle, you still got 5 left?
I do.
All right. Who's your number 5?
My number 5 is Merlin Olsen.
He's my 2.
Oh, okay.
He's my 3.
I wasn't sure if Merlin was going to make any other list. I thought I might be on my own.
I have Merlin at 4.
All
Ooh,
right.
so that's 4. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Merlin's
Nice.
got 14 Pro Bowls, got 8 All-Pros, 91 sacks, which when you're playing on a team with Deacon Jones, I was kind of surprised he had that many. He was just amazing at clogging up the middle, and like Wade said earlier, a lot of these guys were good against the run. But Merlin could also get after the passer and just had a long career and was consistent throughout. Played 15 years and he was in the Pro Bowl 14 of them.
Yeah, I would say he made 14 straight Pro Bowls.
Yeah.
And he had one stretch where he made 5 straight first-team All-Pros.
Yeah, so.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, he scored a touchdown, Ray.
There you go.
Yeah.
In his rookie season, he returned an interception for a touchdown.
Hey, rookie season. That's what's up.
All right. So we had, how many people had Olsen?
4.
Oh, 4. Okay. So we had a 3 and 2 4s so far.
Let me pull this thingy back up. Yeah.
Wow. And we're at 5 still.
Yeah.
That's
You only had
interesting.
one so far, Drew. You just
No, I've
one?
had 2. I've had Sapp and Green.
Oh yeah, Green. Okay.
I have all 3 of them.
Oh, I've only got 1.
I got-
Just Olsen.
I got 2.
Radio, how many do you have?
I got 3 right now.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. Go Ray.
Well, our list may not be as long as I suspected.
Maybe not.
Some of us are running out of guys already. All right, Ray, do you have a 5 left?
I do not.
I do. My number 5 is Aaron Donald.
He's my number 2.
He is also my number 2.
He's my number 2.
Not on my list.
You're killing me, Ray.
Aaron Donald, who, of course, plays currently for Uncle Doug's Rams. He's a 9-time Pro Bowler. I don't know how many times All-Pro. I'm not counting right now.
7.
7. Oh, is it really 7? Okay. He got a Super Bowl. He's on the All 2010s team. He's got 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards. He was Rookie of the Year. And yeah, he was. I mean, you could argue that he was the best player in football for a few years, like including quarterbacks.
I mean, that's why I have him at number 2. In my lifetime, I've never seen a defensive tackle have disrupt an offense anywhere near as much as I've watched Aaron Donald over the past 7, 8, 9 years. Like he's unreal. Like him and Cooper Kupp just carried a team to a Super Bowl. I mean, I'm not saying there was nobody else was good on the team, but those two were the catalyst of a Super Bowl. How often do you see a team that wins a Super Bowl and go, "Oh, their best player was a defensive tackle"? So like, oh, they got carried there by a defensive tackle. That's a rare feat,
Especially nowadays.
Yes, it's an extremely, extremely rare feat, and Aaron Donald did that. And just look at that. He's already 7 first-team All-Pros. He's got 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just a disruptive monster, and there's nothing worse than constant pressure right up the middle. It throws the quarterback off the most.
To get them moving.
Yes.
They can't just run up underneath of you.
Yeah, they can't step into the pocket like they
Yeah.
could have with a defensive end. They got to completely reshuffle and reset. There's nothing more disruptive than that constant pressure up the middle.
If you want pressure, you want it to come from the outside.
Yeah.
I say the worst. No, the worst is whenever a defensive tackle gets around because it just messes everything up.
Yep. And that's what Aaron Donald's the
Yeah.
best I've ever seen at is that
even
constant
when-
pressure up the
I mean,
middle.
he'll beat double teams consistently at times.
Yeah, like
mean-
he's been getting double teamed almost his whole career.
Yeah.
I mean, after like his first or second year, it was happening.
I guess the real question about Aaron Donald is how long is he going to play? Because he's been talking about retirement for multiple years now, and he's only been in the league 10 years.
That's another crazy thing. Like he's played. Is he in his 10th season right now, or has he already played 10?
He's played 9. This is his 10th.
That's his 10th, and he's already got He's already got over 100 sacks, right?
109.
Yeah,
109 going into the season.
That's
So he's got, I don't know how many he's got this year, but that put
6.
him 4th on the D tackle sack list, and I'm thinking he's got enough to move up to 3 at this point. 2 and 1 is going to take him a while.
Who is 3?
Randy White.
Oh.
Yeah, then it's the 2 Viking
Randy White
boys.
has 111.
Yeah,
Yeah, the other two are.
2 Vikings sit at the
They're
top.
up there.
Isn't that weird? 2 Vikings.
Those Vikings, we'll get to this.
Yeah.
All right. Well, does anybody else have anything to add on Aaron Donald? All right. No, nobody has a 5 left, correct?
Nope.
Who has a 4 left?
I do.
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Drew.
My 4 is Randy White.
Randy White's my 3.
He's my 3,
He is my 3.
and I'm out.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's your list?
Yep.
Nice.
Wow. Okay.
What you got on old Randy White there, Drew?
He's 9-time Pro Bowler, 8-time All Pro. He's got a Super Bowl MVP. He's part of the All 1980s team. He has 111 sacks. He came in defensive player voting, came in top 3, 5 times, top 4, 6 times, I think. He was, he was a monster. I just think
If you watched him play, he was a monster. He was very disruptive.
See his nick.
Well, MVP of a Super Bowl.
That's what got me.
Yeah, that's what got me. Whoa.
His numbers are super nice, but then you throw in a Super Bowl MVP. That's pretty big.
Here's my thing. We talk about how small Aaron Donald is. He's 20 pounds heavier than Randy White.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Randy White was not huge.
Dude, things back in the day were just a little different.
Well, he came in the league as a defensive end.
Right.
Then he moved to linebacker. Then he settled in at defensive tackle. That's kind of crazy. How many defensive tackles do you know played linebacker?
Yeah. When he moved to defensive line, he kind of bulked up too. He looked bigger than what they list there.
Yeah.
I tell you this is another thing that's kind of crazy. They used to do the celebrity boxing when they wear those big old gloves.
Oh yeah.
Years ago, they had him fight the refrigerator.
Oh gosh.
Of course, the refrigerator is what, 20 years younger than him.
Yeah.
Randy White beat the tar out of him.
That didn't surprise me.
Like, just beat the crap out of him.
The fridge didn't always have the best work ethic.
Do you see his? Sorry. Do you see his 2 nicknames up there?
Yeah.
Manster and Captain Scab. I
remember Manster. I don't
like
remember
Manster.
the Captain Scab.
Captain Scab. What? What is that? That's funny.
Well, the one guy I have left on my list that we haven't said yet is listed 12 pounds lighter than him.
Is he?
Yeah.
Does anybody else have anything to say about Randy? I want to know what he did in his damn Super Bowl to win the MVP.
Didn't we try and look this up?
I'm sure we did in the Cowboys episode.
Like the Mount Rushmore episode.
It's so.
I feel like we
It's
tried.
so
to look
long
this
ago.
up.
It's not going to have any.
Well, I guess it's kind of a waste of time because in the entire playoff run, he only had 2 sacks, and that's the only stats we have.
So,
Like he could have had 50 tackles in 3 games. We wouldn't know
They
it.
could have like
Right,
3
yeah.
forced fumbles or something.
Yeah.
It's just so
Yeah, like
frustrating.
we have no.
You're out like look up an article and just read about it or something.
yeah, but yeah, you can't have 2 sacks in an entire playoff run and be the Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah.
Like you had to do something else.
No. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he had to have been super disruptive in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was. I remember watching the game. I don't remember everything he did, but I just remember him standing out. Like he was in all the plays.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So, does everybody have one person left, or do other people have more than that?
I've got 2 left.
That too.
I got
I have
my 4 and my
one.
1.
I have
Let me
one.
make sure.
I have my 1 left.
Yeah, I have my number 1 left.
All right. So, Uncle Doug, since you have 2 left, how many? Give us one.
My number 4 is John Randall.
Anybody else got John Randall?
I don't.
Surprised you don't, Wade.
I thought about it.
I thought you would too. When you said light, I was like, John Randall was small. Maybe it was John Randall, but I didn't know how much he weighed.
I thought about John Randall long and hard.
I figured you would. And I wavered back and forth, but he ended up at 4. But 7 Pro Bowls, 6 All Pros, 137 and a half sacks. He's number 2 on the defensive list. 29 forced fumbles, like 40-some tackles for loss. I always thought more of John Randall as a defensive end because he sacked so much,
Yeah.
but he was a D tackle.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was amazing against the pass.
So I thought he should be mentioned.
I'm happy you brought him up.
Yeah, he's a worthy admission, I think.
Oh yeah. So everyone else just has the 1 left.
Well, I got two.
Oh, you still
I
got two.
left.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Ray. So give us another one.
All right, my number 4 is Bob Lilly.
Oh yeah, I looked at Bob Lilly.
He was
I did too.
he was the other one I
That's
contemplated.
that's who Randy White replaced in
Yes.
Dallas. Everybody thought they'll never be able to replace Bob Lilly. And then Randy White came in, and for the next however many years, I guess 14, they both played 14 years for the Cowboys. So for 28 years, you had Lilly and then White playing D-tackle.
One, the Mount Rushmore episode, I went back and forth with these two, and I figured I needed to just choose one, and I went with Randy White. And I did the same exact thing in this. I was like, I'm just going to pick one of the Cowboys, and I went with Randy White again.
Yeah. Why is his nickname Tiger?
Maybe Tiger Lily.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I have
That
no
would be
idea.
my only
I
guess.
don't know, yeah.
I have no idea. Ray, I just want to tell you, you probably picked him because he has 4 touchdowns.
No, actually,
Oh.
it's random.
Well, what you got to say, Ray?
He's a Hall of Famer.
Indeed, he is.
He's a Super Bowl champion.
Yeah.
He's on the all 60s and 70s team.
Uh-huh.
He's a 7-time All-Pro.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive there.
11-time Pro Bowl.
Indeed.
5.5 cents.
Yeah.
Ray, did you even know who Lily was before you started talking? Or?
That would be a capital Fuckno. Yeah, let me just tell the listening audience here, I have no idea how to evaluate these defensive tackles, anything. So I just went on a random spree of picking names off random lists because these other 4 are more knowledgeable at this position than I am. But yeah, that's where my decision making came, was randomness.
Bob Lilly is really not a bad pick at all.
No, he's not.
It's actually
He was a really good
yeah,
defensive
it's actually a really good pick.
Yeah, I seriously considered him for my
No,
list.
Yeah,
like
I
I said,
did too.
I was going to pick one of the Cowboys.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I came down to too. I just said I'm gonna pick one of the two, and
Not
I just
even.
went with Randy White. So no, it's a good pick, right?
Okay.
I even saw lists with him as high as 2.
Yeah,
So he was
probably Gil Brandt's list.
Yeah, I think that's it. He had a lot
Gil Brandt's lists are weird.
they are.
They are. They're definitely Dallas heavy.
I look at them every position, and sometimes I'm done. Like I was
odd.
telling Drew on the cornerbacks list, he had Richard Seymour higher than Charles Woodson and Champ Bailey.
Yeah,
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And the defensive tackles, John Randall and Alan Page aren't on it. Not in the top 10 at all. It's like, what the fuck? And then
It's just not
that
like the
Jerome
Vikings.
Brown who
Yeah.
who died for the Eagles, who played 4 seasons and
Something like
died,
that.
was on the list, but Randall and Alan Page weren't.
Wow.
It's like, what is Gil Brandt doing?
yeah.
I mean, nothing against Jerome Brown, but I mean, come on.
These guys put full Hall of Fame careers together.
Yeah, and, he unfortunately passed away, but I mean, come on.
All right, so all 4 of you have one left now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I just said his name,
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, who'd you say?
Alan Page.
Alan
Alan
Page.
Page.
Oh,
is my
okay,
number
yeah.
one.
Page.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
And
my
that's who I
number one.
got.
He's my number one as well.
He's my number one because the man has an MVP.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're so dominant, they make you the league MVP as a defensive tackle. You are the shit. And I got a little more detailed answer as to why he is the MVP. Not just if you go to Football Reference, it's 9 sacks and not a lot of other information. As a defensive tackle, he had 109 tackles, 9 sacks, 3 fumble recoveries, 2 safeties, and multiple blocked kicks that year.
Where did you get his tackle numbers?
I Googled why he won the MVP, and I just came across some of that information.
Because I mean, that's
tackle numbers are so hard to find.
Yeah, and that's a stupid amount of tackles for a defensive tackle. 109.
Right.
That's
And
middle linebacker
In
numbers.
14 games, or 12 or 14.
Yeah.
14, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So and he blocked multiple kicks and punts, and had 3 safeties and recovered 3 fumbles. And I don't know if they tracked forced fumbles back then, but I'm sure he forced some. And plus the 9 sacks and 109 that's once you get the full story of his overall numbers, then it makes more sense than when you just see 9 sacks
Well, the season
and a couple fumble recoveries.
the season before that, he had 7 fumble recoveries.
Yeah. I guarantee he was forcing some of those, especially.
I mean, they don't do force. Yeah, they don't do force fumbles.
And then he has the most sacks of any defensive tackle to ever play football, so that helps as well. And he kind of blows everyone out of the water, doesn't he? What is he at?
137 or 148? Sorry, 148.
148
and a half.
Randall's the only one really even close to him.
Yeah.
Was it Randall at 137?
137.
Yeah. Okay.
And then it's Randy White and Aaron Donald.
Yeah, Randy White's already down to 111.
Right.
Donald's
Aaron
at
Donald's
109.
in that vicinity.
Yeah, what 109?
He has 148 and a half career sacks. He has an NFL MVP. I mean those two things alone is just kind of, for me, was just like, all right, it's number one. Chalk it up. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Those Vikings defenses are crazy.
Yeah, they were.
Purple people eaters.
Well, not just that, they have the all-time interception leader in the back. I mean,
And we had other Hall of Fame defensive linemen.
yeah.
That were they with him or right after him?
They were with him.
Yeah, well, like Marshall was there.
Yeah,
Jim Marshall.
Yeah, Jim Marshall played, and
There was one that has like 140 some sacks.
Yeah, we talked about this during the Mount Rushmore. We talked about all these guys.
Jim Marshall and
Paul Krause, Alan Page,
Page.
and
I'm going to look up who the
but don't they have a defensive end with like 140 or 50 sacks or something crazy?
yeah,
Another one. Who Dolman play for later on? Was he,
he played for the Vikings.
Carl Eller.
Eller?
Yeah,
Carl
Carl Eller. Yeah.
Yes,
What?
Eller and Page.
But Dolman was a Viking too.
yeah, at one point,
Okay,
part of his career. That
So
was much for later.
later.
we have 8 guys for 5 spots, and nobody is unanimous. I don't think we've ever had a week where we had nobody be unanimous.
Wow. 1, 2, 3.
But
Well, I will
Oh, boy.
come off John Randall and go to Mean Joe Green.
okay, well, I'm gonna do something as well because I'll be 100% honest with you. I pulled the Iceman here. I guess what I actually did was like I looked up. I just typed in all-time sack leaders for defensive tackles, and I took that list, and that was my list of guys to research.
Oh,
And apparently that list didn't have Alan Page on it because I didn't even look at him.
oh well, see, he's
not official.
older
Yeah.
than They're official.
Yeah, so so I'm gonna take my my SAP vote off and go to Page.
There we go.
So
So Page and Green are in.
yes, Page
Oh,
and Green
yeah.
are in.
That makes you feel better.
I really.
Alex.
Okay. Who doesn't have Aaron Donald?
I'm about to put mine up there.
Okay, I was gonna say that's my next target of getting on.
But I'm not.
Who'd you take your vote away from?
Lily, my
So-
my
Oh, okay.
single, my lonely.
Lily and Randall are
gotcha.
gone. Page and Green and Donald are in.
So we're looking at Randy White, Merlin Olsen, and Warren Sapp.
Page.
All right, so it was it Drew and Ray have Sapp,
Yeah.
and who doesn't have Olsen,
Me.
and who doesn't have White?
I'm guessing me.
Must be Ray.
Well,
I'm not gonna do no barn burners tonight.
oh, all right. White on. Woo. Well,
I guess.
looks
why
like your
not?
streak's ending.
Hey, I'll take it. All good things must come to an end.
No, it was a good streak.
I'll take it. Still got 4 out of 5.
So you're going to Merlin then?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's
right.
fine. That doesn't bother me.
Yeah, I got 4 out of 5.
I got all 5.
Yeah, I got 4 out of 5.
I
Did you
didn't
not
think
get 5 out of 5, Drew?
No, Alex, we just had psych.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
I did not even.
yeah, we broke Drew's streak. Yeah,
It took us a few weeks. But
yeah, that's what I'm talking
A
about.
couple months. What do you mean?
Yeah, he's had a perfect week every
Since the
week of
beginning.
football.
Yeah, I heard you guys talking about it on the podcast.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm one of the ones I wasn't here for.
Oh man, I've been so irritated about this.
Because he said, when they were switching Sap over or whatever, I guess you weren't paying attention. I leaned over to Drew. I said, well, what did I say? Your streak's over? Or something? I don't
Yeah.
remember.
I said all good things must come to an end at some point.
That's my bad, guys.
no, you're good.
All right. Drew, you want to tell the listeners who our final five are?
Yeah. Mean Joe Green, Merlin Olsen, Aaron Donald, Randy White, and Alan Page are our 5 defensive tackles. I would say it's pretty solid 5 guys.
That's my
I
5.
think so.
I'm gonna start me a streak, Drew.
Oh, are
Start
you
me a
now? Are you going to
streak
start
now.
your streak?
I'm coming for it.
I
Joe
bet you-
DiMaggio in this shit.
I bet you don't get all 5 offensive tackles.
Yeah, that might be a rough one.
I don't know how I did that with the interior alignment that week. That's probably my most impressive week.
Probably.
All 14 guys and all my 5 are picked.
That's true.
Right. Not right.
That episode was a shit show.
Wait. Randall McDaniel.
Ronald McDonald. Oh, that's funny.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, that will wrap up our defensive tackle portion of this episode and move us into what if. And my what if is simple, gentlemen.
Okay.
What if the Bears weren't retards
What?
and drafted a good quarterback instead of Mitchell Trubisky? So we're going to say that what if the Bears drafted Patrick Mahomes?
He wouldn't be Patrick Mahomes. If you want, if you want my honest answer. Everyone always says this, but he wouldn't be what he is without Andy Reid. I mean, that's my whole thing behind Patrick Mahomes is he is what he is because of Andy Reid. And Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill to start his career. You had the fastest receiver in football, and you had the smartest tight end to find open grass.
And a great coach and a decent offensive line.
Well,
And he got to sit for a year.
he got to sit for a year behind a guy that was not very physically talented. I think that's the real key. Patrick Mahomes came into the league as a guy that was stupid talented physically and was so overconfident in his arm. That was one of his biggest problems in college.
Yeah.
He would make throws that everybody said you don't make those throws. And I watched his interview with John Gruden before at the combine, and John Gruden's like, why did you make that pass? You can't make that pass in the NFL. And he goes, other quarterbacks aren't me. That was his response.
Yeah.
But I think going and watching a guy like Alex Smith, who doesn't have a great arm,
Right.
who was winning on moxie and intelligence and listening to his coach, I think showed Patrick Mahomes, hey, if I dial it back a little bit and try and place a little smart, he still has some of those tendencies, don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
He still makes stupid throws and will throw it back across the field and stupid stuff like that. But he did dial it down
From when he was at Texas Tech.
from when he was at Texas Tech. And I think that was a big help for his career. And he went to a team, he was drafted, 10th, but it wasn't the 10th worst team or the 10th best team in the NFL, however you look at it. They were like
They
an
made the
AFC
playoffs.
championship game
Right.
and ended up with the 10th pick.
Yeah.
They had made the playoffs like 4 out of the 5 years before that.
Yeah.
Because
People don't realize
the
that they
Colts
don't-
met them all the time when we had like Andrew Luck and stuff.
Alex Smith made the playoffs like 4 or 5 times before.
Yeah, he
They
did.
act like the Chiefs were bad before.
Well,
no.
They were very good.
the year that Mahomes was his backup, he got MVP votes.
Yeah.
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 Like Alex
He was
Smith
a
had
very
a
good
great year.
quarterback.
Well, and it wasn't just that. Like they had, they had always had like decent running backs. They had like Jamal Charles for a little bit, and then like Alex Smith and Kelsey had been there for
Yeah, he'd been there
3-4 years before Patrick Mahomes there.
They had some guys on defense already.
yeah,
I mean,
back before that they had some decent receivers and
Well, we're talking about Patrick Mahomes a lot here, just randomly. Let's go back to the Bears side of this first.
Matt Nagy.
Who would have been your coach in that year? Then,
Matt Nagy, I think.
well, Nagy
I think-
came from the Chiefs, though. I thought,
I'm trying to think.
did he come before or after?
What year
that?
was that draft? Because the year we go 12-4 is 2018, I believe.
is that the Deshaun Watson year?
Yes, it's Deshaun. Because we take Trubisky, then it's Watson, and then it's Mahomes. If you want my honest opinion, Watson probably would have been better for the Bears.
Yes.
Been able to run.
Drew, there is
Oh, boy.
masseuses in Chicago, too.
We could have already had a Super Bowl at this point. I mean, he could have went and got massaged after the Super Bowl. I don't care.
2017 was the draft.
Okay, so there's probably one more year. There's probably last year with John Fox, and then he gets fired. Because I think, because his rookie year, we signed Mike Glennon to this big, ridiculous contract because we go to the game.
Yeah.
I'll go with first Bears game. Yeah, I think it's John Fox's first year. Last year, I believe. And then the next year, Nagy takes over. We go 12.
Yes, 2017 is John Fox. You go 5-11.
Yeah, and then Nagy comes the next year.
I do agree with what you said, though. I think if Deshaun Watson went to the Bears, I think that would have been huge. Because Deshaun Watson went to a shitty Texans team and brought them to the playoffs numerous times eventually and put up great stats the whole time he was there.
The next year, I think Trubisky has a decent year.
Well, here's my thing. I thought about open-ending the question of which quarterback, and I also thought about going with Deshaun Watson. But the reason I went with Mahomes is something we haven't talked about yet, is the fact there's going to be huge repercussions for the rest of the league. Because Mahomes isn't winning MVPs. Mahomes isn't winning Super Bowls. The Chiefs are a completely different team, and they're the powerhouse of the NFL. That's where the fallout really starts. I mean, talking about the Bears is going to be semi-interesting because it's true. But talking about the Chiefs and the rest of the NFL and what ends up happening is really where it picks up, I think.
You know who I think gets affected the most?
Like Justin Herbert?
No. Josh Allen.
Josh Allen, yeah.
Josh Allen is probably in a Super Bowl or two. His reputation is completely different than it is now. Now it's been on the way down for a year and a half. And so I feel like his status would be completely different.
It's like an Allen Burrow battle for the championship, AFC championship.
We'll lose to the Bears in the Super Bowl with Mahomes, and the Bills are 0-6 in the Super Bowl.
Well. But his reputation would be different if he's winning those MVPs that Mahomes has won and he's making those Super Bowls.
I think the real question we're missing out on here is who's better historically in Bears franchise history, Patrick Mahomes or Jay Cutler? I mean, that's really what the question we need to ask ourselves.
I mean, if you keep him on the Chiefs and look at it now, he's already way better than Jay Cutler. But I don't see him doing what he's doing.
Well, here's my thing. No matter what you think of Patrick Mahomes, if you think he would be the same guy he is now playing for the Bears, you're on drugs.
Right.
Like, he would not be the same player.
You said, I'm like, they're, as much as I want to say, oh, yeah, we'd have two. No. Because the 1 year maybe. And I don't know what we do after that, but it just.
Because the level that he's got to, if you took Patrick Mahomes right this moment and put him on the Bears, I think he could still be really, really good because of all the stuff he's already learned from Andy Reid and the Chiefs. But you're talking about a rookie Patrick Mahomes not getting all that developmental time and having, like Alex said, the fastest player in the NFL and the best zone-breaking tight end in the NFL and top 5 offensive lines and maybe the best offensive coach in the league.
Instead,
that's a lot of easy development, right there for him to get first thing in his career.
And the Bears would have thrown him on the field his first game.
And he would.
No, Mike Glennon played for a couple games, and then he would have came in. Alex, my boy Mike Glennon.
Mike Glennon played because they watched Trubisky in practice and said, "Ooh,
Trubisky can't read a defense." Uh-oh.
No, but yeah. Instead, he would have got Horser. Offensive line had been asked to hand the ball off on first and second down and then try and convert 3rd and 13 when we all know we're going to pass the ball to probably what?
So who are the skill position players for the Bears in 17?
Anthony Miller.
Washing machine.
Kevin White, biggest bust receiver of all time.
People who are on the field.
He tried to be on the field. I mean, these guys actually played, Wade.
Kevin White played 3 games for the Bears.
Josh Bellamy, Kendall White, Dontrell Inman. Zach Miller was their tight end. He was quality.
He was all right.
And then he almost died.
Dante Thompson, Trey McBride, Tanner Gentry, Marcus Wheaton, Kevin White. There you go. There's your boy.
Told you.
That's a boatload of receivers, but they were all there.
Yeah.
Sounds like Patrick Mahomes might be a bust. Ain't nobody catching the ball in that roster.
Jordan Howard, Tariq Cohen.
Yep.
Howard was good for a year.
Yeah, he was 1,000-yard. He was like
bad.
third. Yeah, we ran the ball all the time because we couldn't throw the ball. Do you hear that receiving core?
Yeah. I feel bad Patrick Mahomes all of a sudden.
Don't feel bad for him. Feel bad for me, Wade.
Couldn't throw the ball.
What do you mean?
Oh, God.
No receivers.
That was bad.
That was so bad. Said people that be on the field. Wait, this is what I watch every
Kevin
week.
White, or whatever his name was, missed so much time.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Sounds like the replacement.
I don't even remember him watching, everyone watched him on TV.
Because he never played.
I was like, jeez.
I was like, we drafted him. Like, okay, be replaced. We had Brandon Marshall, Alshon Jeffrey. He's gonna be right along. Nope. Probably didn't play 16 games in his career.
So, Drew, without looking at my screen,
Oh, gosh.
what player on your team had the most receiving touchdowns that year?
Receiving touchdowns?
Yes. And how many?
It's definitely in the single digits, I'll tell you that.
That's definitely
I would
single
I'd
digits.
probably guess, it's 2017, right?
Yep.
I would guess probably Miller or Cohen with like 6.
Well, the answer is 3,
Oh, gosh.
and it's Adam Shaheen, your third-string tight end.
Oh, I remember him, big old white guy.
Yeah, I liked him in the draft. He's like 6'8".
That's
Yeah,
big boy.
that's probably why they threw the ball to him in the red zone. But 3 is your leading receiver. Jordan Howard rushed for 9, but
Jordan Howard had a little moment.
He had a couple of seasons there. He was good.
He did.
Then he went to Philly.
Yeah.
But yeah, this sums it up for all you guys who don't watch this every week. That's how I feel.
I've had some bad seasons real recently.
Oh, me too.
It's nice to actually see the Bears throw the ball this year to DJ.
Yeah.
He's gonna have 1,000 yards. He might already. I don't know.
You see that Mike Evans got 10 straight seasons of 1,000 yards?
I try to tell you guys on the Buccaneers, Hall of Fame, not Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore. Yeah. Doesn't matter who his quarterback is. He gets 1,000 yards.
Yeah, he's had some rough quarterbacks.
So if the Bears take Mahomes, do the Texans still take Watson?
I assume so.
I would guess so. And then that means the Chiefs get Trubisky, or they
Right.
take another skilled player.
Are there any other quarterbacks, big popular quarterbacks?
Who else
draft?
is in the draft?
See, Trubisky was highly thought of coming out in that draft.
He was
North Carolina.
He was.
You know,
Yeah, he played like 12 games his
Yeah.
whole college career.
No.
And it was that was one of the years that Jeremy and I watched a ton of tape on all the guys, and we were trying to judge them ourselves. And I kept saying over and over again, Mitchell Trubisky can't read a defense. Mitchell Trubisky can't read a defense. This is a problem. And he's I was watching like Deshaun Watson look off safeties and do these things, and I'm like, Trubisky's not even on that level.
Not just look off safeties, look off Alabama safeties.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
yeah.
We're not looking off 2-8 Pitt safeties. We're looking off Alabama safeties in the national championship game. I mean, granted, he had more talent at Clemson, but he's looking off Alabama safeties, who I'm sure are in the NFL right now.
They probably are.
I
You're
mean,
probably right on that.
so I mean, I'm just
so do you think Andy Reid could teach him that?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think if Mitchell Trubisky went to Kansas City and played for Andy Reid, he would be a better quarterback than he is today.
Right.
I do believe that. He would not be Mahomes.
I bet it could be
But-
Alex Smith, though.
Yeah.
He might be Alex
could-
Smith.
Because
Yeah.
little
the
bit
one
more
thing
athletic.
Alex Smith had that was really nice, he was sneakily athletic.
Mahomes was
Trubisky was run.
Kansas City picked before Houston.
Oh,
Oh,
so Deshaun Watson goes to Kansas City. Maybe we don't meet the massage parlors if we're in KC.
Well, he may not do the massage parlors, but Deshaun Watson's career may be on par with Mahomes.
Yeah. Deshaun
That's
Watson.
scary.
Deshaun Watson was a beast when he was playing
He
for
was.
Houston.
Yes, he was.
yes, he was.
He had some monster.
He
I
was
think he's
balling
led
out.
led the league in passing once or twice, and he was led the league in QB rating maybe once. He was good.
Deshaun Kaiser was another
Oh,
quarterback.
not the guy out of Notre Dame.
Yeah,
Oh,
the guy out of Notre Dame. Yeah.
not Notre Dame quarterbacks. Here we no,
Come on, Drew. Have faith.
no, they're no good.
Ye of little faith. Davis Webb.
Oh, God.
These quarterbacks are real world beaters.
They're really getting who were the big time running back and wide receivers in that draft.
Oh, yeah, let's see the top
Running back and
Yeah.
wide receivers.
Oh, Myles Garrett went 1 overall.
Yeah. Solomon Thomas was 3.
Leonard Fournette.
Leonard Fournette, Corey Davis, Jamal Adams, Mike Williams, Christian McCaffrey, John Ross, who
Oh.
just retired.
That's because of his 40 time.
Yeah. Marshawn Lattimore, the corner.
I mean, he's pretty nasty.
Hassan Reddick,
Good.
Derek Barnett, Malik Hooker, Marlon Humphrey,
Malik Hooker.
Jonathan Allen, Dory Jackson, O.J. Howard, Garrett Bowles.
Some talent.
Some really nice players in there.
Yeah. Tre'Davious White went later to Buffalo.
TJ Watt went later.
Yeah, T.J. Watt went 30th.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yikes.
But if there was a redraft, him and McCaffrey be in that top
whoever-
5.
Yeah. Well, whoever pass rusher the Browns don't take, the Bears are taking the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you said Hassan Reddick was in that one?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they did a redraft, he'd go a lot higher, I bet.
Yeah.
He's a fucking sack machine. I think is that Jonathan Allen, the guy who pitched for Washington?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a monster as well. Absolute monster.
I mean, Tre'Davious White was the best corner in football a few years ago.
He just can't stay healthy now.
Yeah, he tore his Achilles twice now.
He had that one all-pro season, and then it seems to have had some bad luck.
So are we saying that the Chiefs may not really miss a beat because they didn't end up with Deshaun Watson?
If they get Deshaun Watson, I think they might win a Super Bowl.
I think they're still going to win a Super Bowl. Yeah,
Yeah.
Deshaun was good.
And Deshaun's a better runner, scrambler than Patrick Mahomes, but he wasn't dumb with it.
Yeah.
He wasn't like Lamar Jackson. He would sit in the pocket and take hits when he had to launch it downfield, but when it was time to use his legs, he was a lot more dynamic than Mahomes, and
He'd run when he had to.
but he was elite at it. When he chose to do it.
Well, and he was smart and he was a winner.
Yeah.
I mean, he was used to winning at Clemson and he
knew
did the
how to
right
win.
things. And you put him with Andy Reid and all that talent.
Well, I watched him in Houston, him being in my division for a while, and Houston's rosters weren't great. They just had 3 great players. They had J.J. Watt, they had Hopkins, and they had Deshaun Watson, and those 3 guys just made enough plays to beat you, and that's how they won 10 games and made the wild card 3 or 4 times.
Okay, this is Deshaun Watson's second year in the NFL, okay? After coming off ACL surgery. All right? And playing for the Houston Texans.
Yes.
He throws for almost 4,200 yards, 26 touchdowns to only 9 picks, while being sacked 62 times.
Oh, jeez.
That's just
What did he run for that year?
Yeah, I gotta look.
That's just a Texans thing.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
I'm saying, he stood
That's
in
why
there
they traded
and
for
took-
what, Larry Tunsil
Yes.
here soon.
Yes.
He's still there, isn't he?
And yes.
And he ran for 550 yards and 5 more touchdowns.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, that right there, that's for a below average roster, that's pretty great.
Yeah.
That's pretty phenomenal.
And then 2 years later, he almost threw for 5,000 yards
Yeah.
and 33 touchdowns to 7 picks.
Yeah.
He was only sacked 49 times that year.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying,
I
man.
mean, DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller. I mean, he was throwing them the ball all the time.
Oh, yeah. And Fuller wasn't even on the field half the time.
Where is he at now?
I think, is he out of the NFL?
Probably.
I think he is. He didn't last very long.
No.
He was super talented there for a couple of years. He was like the deep ball threat, and Hopkins was the possession receiver. And they just, Watson just launched.
Would he have
him
been
down
there
the
with
field.
Cook for a year too?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then remember, he got suspended for 12 games.
Yeah. Well, I think he got hurt a couple of times, and it's just a mess.
Well, I mean, I'd get hurt too. This is the sack numbers for the seasons. 62, 44, 49. That's 3 straight seasons.
So I'm saying, he wasn't on great teams. They had 3 great players that just made plays.
Yeah.
And then it was just,
Weren't they one of the teams that the Chiefs had one of those crazy comebacks on?
They were up 24-0.
Yeah.
And what's his nuts does a fake punt on his own 30-yard line that sparked the comeback.
Oh, the guy that used to coach for the Patriots?
Bill O'Brien.
Bill O'Brien, yeah.
Who traded... Shoot, what did he trade for David Johnson?
Hopkins.
Was it Hopkins?
Yeah, Hopkins,
I can't remember if it was
yeah.
Hopkins or Watt.
Hopkins for a washed-up David Johnson, not just a David Johnson, a washed-up David
and
Johnson.
some picks.
Yeah.
All he got back was David Johnson.
It was god-awful.
It's so dumb.
Yeah, so in 2018, which is that year he threw for almost 5,000... Or no, wait. Hold on. 2018 was his second year in the league, the one I said he got sacked 62 times. He made the playoffs that year. They had obviously lost in the first round. He threw for 235 yards and a touchdown and a pick. So nothing remarkable, but
Mediocre.
yeah. And then the next year he returned to the playoffs
That's what I'm saying.
and played 2 games, where in those 2 games he threw for 635 yards and 3 touchdowns and 0 picks.
So, one year he even won a playoff game with the roster.
Yeah, remember because they beat the Bills
Mm-hmm.
in that game. That was one of Josh Allen's coming out parties.
Well, they had a few years where they made the playoffs because them and because there was just a kind of a weird thing with inside our division. After like Peyton left, there was just a lot of up and down with like all the teams were just kind of fluctuating, and they had some years where they were decent.
Kind of like right now.
Yeah. Yep.
Did he overlap with Luck, Wade?
I think so.
Him and Luck?
Yeah.
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 I think so.
So, I mean, I guess it wouldn't be turned upside down as I thought it was. Because I have in my head for some reason that Watson went before Mahomes.
See, I thought he did too.
So
I thought Mahomes went later than 10. I thought he went like at 15
Yeah,
or
I did
16.
So,
So the team that really comes up short is the Texans.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because you put a guy that's already has issues behind a terrible offensive line.
Yeah, and he obviously doesn't have a coach like Andy Reid
Right.
to try to bring him along.
So the Texans get Trubisky.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that dude's probably dead by the time he's out of Houston.
I mean, we think the Bears' O-line's bad. Theirs isn't better than ours.
We're just talking about what the numbers that Watson was putting up in Houston with one of the worst offensive lines in all of football, and we had one great receiver, and then some other, we'll say, inconsistent play by other wide receivers. You know, we talked about Fuller had talent, but he had other issues, and there were people in and out, and their defenses usually weren't spectacular. So I mean, then he goes from that to Bill O'Brien to Andy Reid. That by himself would make his stats go up. Then you give him Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and a great offensive line. He goes from like maybe the worst offensive line to like a top 5 offensive
You
line.
get Kareem Hunt
Yeah.
before he decides to kick people.
Kareem Hunt, maybe the best receiver in the NFL, maybe the best tight end in the NFL, maybe the best head coach in the NFL. Like, it's just like, oh.
So what we're saying is Deshaun Watson is probably Patrick Mahomes.
Maybe better. That's kind of what I'm saying.
I think
Because I think he has more overall physical talent. Maybe not like as far as like
He doesn't
Patrick
have
Mahomes.
he doesn't have the arm strength necessarily of Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes' arm strength is elite, but Deshaun Watson his feet are better.
He's more athletic.
Yeah.
Like, as a
Oh, yeah.
overall, I think.
Yeah.
He's more dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
And before all of his time off and this weird stuff with Cleveland, Watson could zip it up and down the field a little bit.
I'm not saying he was I don't even know who to
No, you're
bring
right.
up,
Patrick
but
Mahomes definitely has a stronger arm.
yeah. I mean, Patrick Mahomes and Allen Herbert are kind of in a class of their own as far as arm talent.
Yeah. Honestly, though, one guy I think that would have given them a good run for their money, or maybe surprisingly beat all of them a few years ago, was Stafford. Stafford had insane arm talent.
Stafford did
People
have
just
big
didn't
arm.
talk about it as much.
Well, he was buried in Detroit and nobody ever saw him.
Yeah. He could do crazy things throwing the football. Like, he could throw like a 48-yard line drive bullet sidearm. And just like, what the shit was that?
Yeah. The Bears get better, but it's not the Mahomes we see now.
Oh, I mean, getting Mahomes would definitely be an improvement. I mean,
Or you may just ruin Mahomes' career, and it may not made too much of a difference.
Because of
if he gets a living shit beat out of
Nagy.
him, I mean, everyone has a limit of how
That
many
first
times they
year,
get
if
hit.
he got through the first year, because the next year it's better. It's way better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we at least know Patrick Mahomes is intelligent enough to learn how to read a defense. We already talked about his physical talent throwing the football. Those are upgrades over Mitch Trubisky right off the bat.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's some, I don't know. But his career definitely goes down, I think that's safe to say.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you even take that. I've said this for years. Like, was it the year before this or the year after this? I can't even remember anymore. Sam Darnold came out, and Sam Darnold is stupid physically talented. Like, probably is at least as much as Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
And he played on a bad college team, just like Patrick Mahomes did, and developed a few bad habits, but he was able to win a bunch of games at USC because he was so good. Kind of like Caleb Williams did.
Shoot,
But
last year.
he got drafted by the Jets
Yeah.
And the Jets had absolutely positively nothing, and a completely buffoon for a coach.
The Jets were worse than the Bears.
Yeah, they were,
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they completely ruined him. I am completely on board to this day that if Aaron Donald, if
Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold was drafted by a good team, like we're talking about with Mahomes, he would be a very good NFL quarterback today.
Oh, I think so.
I thought he looked good. He had flashes like his rookie year, remember? Like he even had a couple games where he kind of took over. And then I think he just got the living shit kicked
He
out of him.
did.
When you got to play that Patriots defense twice a year.
Yeah.
And the Bills defense was starting to get better.
Coaches aren't teaching you anything.
Yeah, Adam Gase.
You know, I mean,
And I mean, when you don't know what the hell's going on and your coach doesn't know what the hell's going on and your team is 8 times less talented than the other team, that's just a deflating feeling.
yes, it is. You
And
just get beat down.
It wears on you mentally and physically, and it's just like, ugh. I mean, who just wants to go out there and take a beating to lose and be embarrassed?
Ben Simmons.
Oh, my gosh.
Good point, Ray. Good point. Where you get drafted makes such a huge difference, especially in football. Because in basketball, if you become a great player, you can carry a franchise. Great players don't carry whole franchises in football.
No.
I mean, there's other guys other than Sam Darnold. I really think Tim Couch was going to be a good quarterback.
Oh, yeah. He was amazing in college.
Yeah.
But he got so killed in Cleveland that.
Derek Carr, I think, would have been good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Derek Carr was very
Is it
talented.
Derek or David? I think it's David, isn't it?
Or David.
David, yeah.
Yeah.
Whichever one went to Houston.
Yeah.
Truthfully, I think David is better than his brother.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I watched him
he was
both.
really
and when he
talented.
first came out of college, I think he was better.
Yeah.
But he got sacked so many times that he was just punch drunk.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you have like 2 or 3 of the top 5 most sack seasons in NFL history, that's not good.
No. I mean, he just.
Yeah.
But then it can go the other way, though, too. Like, how many guys all time could you slot in with some of these great teams?
Sure.
What if anybody, but like, what if somebody would have been switched places with Brady and got to play with all those Belichick defenses for
Right.
years? That would totally help your career. What if, like Roethlisberger's rookie year, they went 15-1.
Right.
How good was that team?
And he didn't play very well.
No, he didn't.
He played terrible. But
No, and that's what I'm saying. Like, that team was ready to win. Russell Wilson
Yeah.
went to that Seahawks team. They won a Super Bowl, his second year?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Ready to go.
There's a lot. I mean, where you get drafted is so important to how your career goes, especially as a quarterback. Anyway,
Speaking of Trubisky, is he starting for the Steelers this Sunday?
yes.
Tomorrow.
Oh, or tomorrow, whatever.
Yeah, because him and the Patriots are going to play. I think
Oh my God!
the points are going to be terrible.
Who are the Patriots playing tomorrow?
Steelers.
No, I mean quarterback wise.
Trubisky. Pick his
No,
heart.
Zappy.
No, the Patriots.
Oh,
Zappy.
Is Zappy playing?
Yeah.
Oh boy. In
Which-
other words, Belichick's tanking for the draft.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it looks like he might end up with Caleb Williams.
Yeah. Which Drew and I talked about that earlier tonight.
I don't think that will work.
That could blow up in their face. I do not see Caleb Williams
Putting up
with Belichick.
I don't see it either. I've said this the other day, too. I think Caleb Williams may have issues no matter where he goes. But Belichick is not – he's a no-nonsense guy.
Right.
And he yells at everybody equally
Right.
and all that stuff. He's not babying quarterbacks. So I don't know that Caleb Williams will handle it either.
Yeah. That could be interesting.
So who you got what? Right now, the season end today, you have 1-3 or 1-4 or
1-5, I think.
1-5?
Yeah.
So who do you want in those two spots?
Marvin Harrison Jr. at 1, and I want
A receiver at 1, huh?
Yep.
I like it.
And then I want either Dallas Turner from Alabama or the big tackle out of Notre Dame, depending on who goes.
Alt.
Depending on who goes ahead of us.
I know that guy from Penn State's pretty
I
good.
trust
too.
Notre Dame linemen more than Penn State.
Yeah.
Notre Dame does produce some nice offensive
Yeah.
linemen.
So that's who I want.
Well, if you're going for a quarterback, I like Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels is
I like
good.
Jane Daniels and Bo Nix better than I do Caleb Williams.
I like
Drake
Bo
May.
Nix too. Yeah.
What's everyone's obsession with Drake May? I don't watch enough college football to know.
I think he's
I've seen him play well, and I've seen him play
bad. He disappears sometimes. And sometimes you just get those looks in his face. He's like,
I watched multiple games of theirs this year where we would go multiple quarters, and I'd be like, "Is Drake May still playing quarterback?" Like I'd be like, "What is he doing?"
yeah, it's those four.
I mean, he's what 6'4", 220.
Yeah.
Can run.
He can run a
so
little bit,
they're all-
So he's got all the things that
He's got the
everybody
physical ability. Yeah.
likes. Traits.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just wondering.
To be honest with you, though, as a we do the same thing with Drake May and Williams that we do with guys that return after we think they're good. We picked them apart this year.
Yeah,
Like-
that's true.
Yeah, we do pick apart. And it also didn't help that both, as a team, underperformed.
Yeah, both teams
I
went way
mean,
down. here.
USC went 7-5, and North Carolina probably went 8-4, 9-3. One of the two. I mean, they both underperformed. So
Was Carolina's football team supposed to be that good?
Yeah, they were supposed to challenge for the ACC.
they're supposed to go there to Florida State.
Interesting.
Well, while we're talking about college football,
Oh no.
You
Drew?
got two of the maddest fans.
Drew, do you
over
want to
here.
go on a rant for about 5 minutes and tell us about the rankings?
I mean, I can if you want me to.
Yeah.
I'm fine with Michigan at 1. That's fine. Georgia's better than Washington. I'll just say that. I say we'll
That's what I was saying. Like,
body
how do
them up. We'll body Texas up. I don't care what you say, even though you guys beat Alabama in week 2 when Jalen Milroe didn't know how to hold the football right. But okay, we can
That's
go with-
true. That's very true.
I mean, now it's a totally different player from second
is,
week
yeah.
of the season now. I mean,
No, he was hot garbage for like the first half of the season.
If we got that one, we would have blew him out.
Yeah.
I mean,
You would have.
Alabama beat us by 3. Yep. So
Here's my thing.
the receiver drops the ball. We don't review it whatsoever. There we go.
If Georgia gets in, they can't be 2. If Alabama just beat you, they would have had to have put Alabama ahead of you. But you're 100% right. You guys are better than Washington, and you're better than Texas.
I think we beat Michigan
I just don't know how you get dropped from 1
to
to fucking
6.
6. That makes no
Never,
sense.
Never happened before.
No offense, Alex, but here's my question: if you think Alabama's better than Florida State, why don't you think Georgia's better than Florida State? You know what I'm saying? And as of right now, we're 14-point favorites on you in the Orange Bowl.
No,
We're
I didn't.
6, not 5.
No, this whole thing's a mess.
Oh, yeah.
They go
Because-
back on each other.
Yeah, Drew and I had this conversation today because as soon as Wade texted us and we found
Yeah.
that happened, I called Drew and then went off on a tangent.
Yeah, we're
because-
like a 30-minute conversation about
Yeah.
the teams.
But first off, I just on general principle, you can't leave an undefeated Power 5 conference champ out of the goddamn playoff.
No.
That is asinine. And second off, you've completely contradicted yourself with Georgia and Florida State. You can't say, well, we want the 4 best teams right now, and that's why Florida State can't get in, and then tell me that Georgia's not one of the 4 best teams. You just can't convince me of it.
Well, there's another thing. As a Georgia fan, we lose in a 1-possession game by 3 points out on a neutral field, so that automatically drops us as the first best team to 6. We've been the number 1 team all year in the country.
Preseason, everything.
Yeah, everything. We've been number 1 all year. But a 3-point loss at a neutral field, we go down to 6.
But is it technically neutral when it's in Atlanta, Georgia?
SEC plans it. Georgia doesn't plan it. Texas plays. Texas plays in Arlington, in Texas. So is that neutral field for them?
Honestly, I think Florida State's is just as simple as. I'm not saying it's right. I just think it's as simple as they don't want to take a chance of putting a
It's all about money.
shitty product on the
Well,
field.
yeah,
for
because
the
they're scared of the
college football playoff. That's all there is.
TCU
They don't
bullshit
want a
from last
TCU.
year.
They don't want to take a
But
chance
here's a-
of a shitty quarterback
Yeah.
on a big time.
The only
money-making
thing
game.
though about
You're-
the TCU thing
That's
is
all it is. It's
they
money.
won a game last year.
Yes, that's what I was getting ready to say. The TCU thing is completely overblown because TC won the first game.
Right.
They just got blown out in the final.
Yeah.
And that can happen any year where we have a final.
Especially to that Georgia team. Yeah, Georgia team was stacked.
Well, TCU just had their national championship by beating Michigan,
Right.
and Georgia just didn't have our greatest game against Ohio State. And
By the way, and everybody's so worried about Florida State's offense because we're having to play with a backup quarterback. Obviously, we're not the same team, but we had more yards in the ACC championship game than Michigan did in their championship game against a terrible Iowa team that couldn't score on Culver Stockton.
Louisville's bad too.
Shoot.
Louisville was the top 15 team in the country.
Yeah, but Louisville lost to Kentucky, who's bottom of the SEC. I mean, bottom.
Yeah, they did lose to
That was a
Kentucky.
bad
Yes.
loss.
I mean, that was a
Georgia
bad
beat
loss.
Kentucky by 40.
Doesn't Iowa have a great defense?
Yeah, they have
though?
really good
Yeah, they have
defense.
really
They
good
just can't
defense.
score.
But they got no offense.
They can't
either.
score.
Their offense is terrible.
No, J.J. McCarthy has not looked good the last month.
Yeah.
His last 4 games have not been because he was a Heisman candidate to the last 4 games.
Yeah.
He's had, I think he has 1 or 2 touchdowns his last 4 games. Like, it's not good. I think Alabama and Texas will play again. That's my initial thoughts right now. I think Alabama will beat Texas. Now, I think Rose not
Okay, so who you picking to win the whole effing thing?
Bama.
Me
Bama.
too. I'm picking Alabama.
Make it 14 out of 18 for the SEC.
You don't think old Jim Harbaugh's going to slip one in?
No.
Here's my thing. Michigan plays the same style of football as Alabama. Alabama's just better at it.
They've been doing it for decades.
Alabama, but here's the other thing though too. Michigan is like, we're going to be more physical than you. We're going to play with you and like this stuff. You can't do that to Alabama.
Right.
And Alabama, not only that, this is the thing with Alabama, Georgia, Clemson for years, even more Florida State this year. They not only are super physical and big up front, but those dudes can run.
Yeah.
And
They're not just the big, slow, lumbering guys that are powerful.
It's not like Vince Wilfork, who we talked about earlier. I mean, I can't think of his first name. Jordan Davis. I mean, the dude's 6'7", 340, and he runs like a 4.8.
Did you see him run down Josh Allen?
Yeah.
They clocked him at 18 miles an hour.
I mean, a guy at 340 is running
That is
18 miles per hour.
Yeah.
I mean, they all can move. Like, and if Michigan thinks they're going to out physicality, Alabama, no, it's not going to.
Bama players to me just look different.
Yeah.
They do.
Did you see
It's like grown ass man.
the video
Ready to kill
of Michigan finding out who they played?
Yeah, they all look
Bruce sent it in
sad.
our group message.
Yeah,
and
I was like,
looked it up.
the game's over. They already think they lost.
Yeah.
They're going to think about it for a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. They forgot the cameras were on them, and they were not happy.
Yeah.
Jim tried to play it off, but they know.
No,
Nick knows.
I saw this video today though that is like, all you Florida State fans and Ohio State fans and all these people and Georgia fans that are mad you didn't get in. I understand, and I think some of it's bullcrap. They're like, but the reason Alabama is ranked 4th is because the NCAA can't have cheaters win the national championship, so they wanted to make sure they lost in the first round. So that's why Bama's the 4 seed.
Oh my god!
That's funny.
They're after Harbaugh.
Then I saw the thing of what the 12 team would look like this year. That was interesting.
Yeah, it
'Cause
would've
when
been.
they got talking about that, the argument now is going to be, this year the argument would have been, is Liberty better than Oklahoma? Because Oklahoma would have got left out for Liberty to come in.
See, here's my thing though, and I'm not
Liberty
trying.
would have played Florida State.
I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but like, if you don't play in a power conference, I don't give a shit what your complaint is. Like, I really don't. I don't care.
And the other thing is, Liberty didn't play any out of conference games. They didn't play any Power 5 schools.
Right.
They just played all the mid majors.
Right. Like Florida State, go back to them. They not only have played 2 out of conference games, but they played 2 SEC schools out of conference.
Right. But they played Florida, who has a losing record.
Yeah,
Right, I mean,
Florida's
but-
not as good this year.
But I mean, that's their rival, so
Now,
they're gonna
the
play.
LSU game.
Yeah, they
I
played
give them credit
LSU.
that
I'll
one.
give them credit for that one.
Yeah.
So
The
That's the
ACC
other
did
thing
have a
with
winning record
Florida
against
State,
SEC.
though,
Say
was
what?
Their strength of schedule was 55.
Yeah, after the
Yeah,
SEC
here's
game,
here's
it was
here's
bad.
here's my thing though. The strength of schedule shit is horse shit. Because here's my thing. They said Ohio State had like this ridiculously hard schedule, and I was like, "What are you talking about? The Big Ten sucks outside of them in Michigan."
The pollsters love them. They keep ranking them up.
Yes,
I'm like,
Just to try to protect
they
Ohio
were
State and Michigan.
they were saying that their strength of schedule was like way harder than Washington and Oregon's. I'm like, Washington and Oregon played each other twice,
Right, yeah.
and they're 2 of the best teams in the country.
we all talk about how Penn State, that was such a big game. Penn State chokes against Michigan and Ohio State every year. They go 10-2 every year.
Yeah,
James Franklin has perfected it. He's the new Jeff Fisher going 8-8. He's the 10-2 god in college football.
Yeah.
He does it every year.
he beats all the little guys in the Big
He beats
Ten,
he
and then
beats
can't ever beat
Minnesota,
Michigan, Ohio State.
Illinois. Their best win is Iowa at home. That's Penn State's best win. Iowa at home.
Yeah, that's
And then Notre Dame, they're overrated. They can just produce linemen.
Notre Dame is
decent defensive
always
players.
overrated.
yeah.
Here's my
They're
big
always
thing, though.
overrated.
The NCAA has been crying and crying because they keep consolidating conferences. Well, guess what? You essentially just told the ACC to fuck off. They produced an undefeated team, and you wouldn't let them in. Well, guess what? So the good teams in the ACC are going to leave.
Right. Well, Florida State wanted to go to the SEC.
Florida State and
anyway.
North Carolina
Right.
want to come to the SEC.
They've been wanting to do that
I think
for a
Clemson
while.
wants to too because they all have rivals in the SEC. That would make sense. I think the ACC is next to go. They're on the chopping block because their top dogs want out and they can fit in those other conferences perfectly. I mean,
But then we just have two massive conferences. Really, it's just the SEC and the Big Ten. That's it.
Big 12 would produce a decent team every once in a while.
Who's even left in the Big 12?
Well, they're getting Utah, Colorado, Arizona State, they'll have Oklahoma State, TCU, Baylor, Kansas,
who
K-State, Iowa State, West Virginia. Again, every once in a while you'll have a story like TCU.
Yeah.
They won't have Texas and Oklahoma beating up on them every year, so that'll take some losses away. But then they just added Houston and UCF.
So pretty much what you're saying is we have another Big East. We have a bunch of basketball schools trying to play football.
Some of it, yeah.
Go get them, St.
That's what
John's.
will happen next, but it won't happen for a while because the ACC's TV contract doesn't expire like 2030 or 2032, and the schools don't want to pay the millions of dollars to the conference to get out.
Right. But Florida State and Clemson for sure.
And North Carolina, I think North Carolina actually wants.
I
those three.
would be surprised if Carolina left without Duke.
Right.
I'm sure the SEC would let them in. I mean, they help basketball.
That's what I mean.
Why not
Yeah.
bring Duke and North Carolina in for basketball? And Duke was getting better in football, but
The coach left.
coach just left, went to A&M, which is in the SEC. So
Ray, how long have we been going?
We're at 112 right now.
Not too terrible.
No.
I was hoping you weren't going to say like 140, and I was going to be like, oops.
Yeah.
Well, I think that pretty much wraps up
Ray
what we
knew what
were
he
going
was
to talk
doing.
about.
It was Georgia and a Florida State fan over there.
Yeah, I'm not thrilled.
I don't think anybody
I mean,
is.
my last thing about it is if I was Kirby Smart, I would challenge any of the committee members, and I would tell them, come tell me face to face that my team's not one of the top 4 in the country. Like I wouldn't say it to my face with a straight face. They couldn't.
I'll be honest with you. If I was Florida State, maybe Georgia, but definitely Florida State, I'd refuse to play Georgia. I'd say we're not showing up to the game.
That's
one
they're
of the
talking
things
about
right
it.
now, yeah.
they're talking about it right now. I read an article about
That
that
and a
today.
lawsuit, some kind of lawsuit.
Yeah,
Because here's my thing.
Boycotting the Orange Bowl.
You want to mess with me? I did everything you asked me to do. I went undefeated. I played in the Power 5 conference. I scheduled out of conference games against SEC schools. My quarterback went down. I still won multiple games after that. My second quarterback went down. I still won another game. I did all these things, and you said no, forget it. Well, I'm gonna mess with you the only way I can mess with you. I'm gonna cost you money.
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
and if they play in the Orange Bowl and Georgia blows them out,
Yeah,
Which they probably will.
That could be ugly.
we'll see who all plays.
Well,
That's the big thing.
I don't
See
know.
who all's going to
I
play.
don't know who's going to play.
Bowl games have gotten kind of
Well, yeah, that's the whole thing with
unless you're in the playoff.
No
half
one
your really
cares.
good players don't play.
the same with Mizzou and Ohio State, Dad. All of Ohio State's offense isn't going to play. Kyle McCord just transferred. Marvin Harrison, Ibuka, and Fleming have all said they're out.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure all 3 of them have opted out.
And Mizzou's got quite a few guys going to the NFL this year, and they may opt out.
Yeah.
I hope not, but
Yeah, I don't want. I know a couple of the Georgia guys have said they're going to play, but I don't know.
well, we'll see in a few weeks.
Yeah, we get to debate it for a month. Unless y'all want to watch the Chick-fil-A Gasparillo PlayStation Bowl.
What the hell?
These bowl games are crazy, right? I was just making one up. You just had like
Oh,
3
God.
brands of stuff, and you put them all together.
Oh God, I'm
thought you were being
glad you
serious.
made it.
What the fuck was that?
Tell me again.
I mean, I think those are all actually bowls of some sort, but they're all.
Oh, there is a Gasparilla Bowl.
There's the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl,
And our Highlands band is going to the Pop-Tart Bowl.
The Pop-Tart Bowl.
That's
I like me a
Right,
Pop-Tart.
That's in Orlando now. That's where I want to.
Right, I got a bowl for you. The Idaho Potato Bowl out of Boise.
Yeah.
Do they get to play on the blue field?
Exactly. Yeah.
Play on the blue field.
There you go.
Idaho at the end of December. You'd love to see it.
Oh, yeah.
They need a White Claw Bowl.
I'm sure it's.
All right, we need to wrap this up.
Get out of here.
We appreciate you tuning in for this defensive tackle episode, and we would appreciate you tuning in next week for our offensive tackle episode. I know you're not excited, but hey, tune in anyway. We'll make it interesting. And thanks for tuning in to Sports the NEMO Way.